Hello.
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 Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Are we audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Clearly.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening, sir.
So shall
Good
we go
evening.
live?
Huh?
Shall we go live then?
Yeah, I was told I have to go live. I didn't ask for a recording. Go ahead.
All right.
Please, please. Yeah.
Can you just let us know when we go live?
Now I'm ready. I hope you don't mind my cup of coffee.
No, sir. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Please, please. Continue. Hello, Kamarpal.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Anji. Let's have a quick intro first.
Sure, sir. Are we live right now?
No, we are not live yet.
Can you
No,
just let
let's
us know?
have an informal.
Yes, we'll do
Let's
that.
have an informal intro before we quit.
Yeah. So I think we should start. We are live right now.
I'll start myself. I am Dr. Rajan Sharma. I'm an orthopedic surgeon by profession.
Hello.
And I'm from Yamunanagar, Haryana. And currently I am heading the Indian Medical Association.
Wow. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So good evening to all our viewers. Hope you're staying safe and healthy. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Priyansh Nathani, studying as a final year medical student at Hindu Hriday Samrat Balasaheb Thackeray Medical College in Mumbai. And I'm currently serving as the regional chairperson for AMSA India for the year of 2020 and 2021. And would like to take this opportunity to welcome the veteran leader of the medical fraternity of India, Dr. Rajan Sharma, sir, who is serving as the current national president of Indian Medical Association. And I'd also like to thank him for accepting our invitation and giving us his time today for the panel discussion on the topic, role of medical students and interns in the current COVID-19 scenario. Heartiest congratulations to you, sir, and the whole medical fraternity for the unprecedented unity. Now that our long pending demands are finally being paid heed to, it will boost the morale of medical fraternity to work more diligently and stand united with the nation's fight against COVID-19.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So
Yeah. Could you shorten the name? Could you shorten the name of your medical college?
Sure, sir. So I'm currently myself studying in Hindu Hriday Samrat Balasaheb Thackeray Medical College.
Shorter version.
HBT Medical College.
That is better to remember.
It's in Mumbai.
Don't expect me to take the entire name.
It's commonly known as Cooper Hospital College.
You are leaving us such a huge legacy. Cooper Hospital is Cooper. Yeah,
Yes.
now it's fine.
So we also have with us a wonderful panel of young doctors and medical students joining from AMSA India. So I would just like to introduce everyone, and can everyone show their hands so that we can know and identify. So we have Dr. Navita Jain, who was the regional chairperson for AMSA India in the year 2018 and 19, and currently serving as an intern at Lok Nayak Hospital in New Delhi. We have Rohini Datta, who is the immediate predecessor and served as the regional chairperson for AMSA India in the year of 2019 and 2020, and currently serving as an intern in Christian Medical College in Ludhiana. Then we have Kanwapal Singh Seli, the director of IT in AMSA India 2019 and 2020. He's currently serving as an intern at Dayanand Medical College and Hospital in Ludhiana. And finally, we also have Khushman Kaur Bhullar, who is currently serving as the Vice Overall Chairperson External in AMSA India and currently studying as a pre-final year medical student at Sri Guru Ram Das Institute of Medical Sciences and Research in Amritsar.
Okay.
And now for the day, we have Ronak Verma, who is also the General Secretary of AMSA India for the year of 2020 and 2021. She's currently studying as a final year medical student at Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College in Wardha. She is the moderator of today's session, and I would really like to welcome everyone. And now I'll hand over it to you, Ronak, for further discussion.
Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening.
Anji.
So let's begin.
Shoot off.
Yes, sir. Let's begin with the panel, sir. Thank you for being here.
Don't grill me too much, huh?
No, not at all, sir. Then thank you, Priyansh, for the introduction.
Yeah, please continue.
So we won't take long. We won't keep you busy, sir. Don't worry.
No, not at all. I said I have had my sessions of grilling since morning. Chalo,
Okay.
start.
So yes, thank you, Priyansh. A warm welcome and a sense of gratitude to all the panelists for their time and effort for this discussion. Welcome, Dr. Rajan, sir. The panel is privileged to have you with us, and I'm sure you won't mind if the panelists keep calling back to you with queries midway as the discussion unfolds.
Most welcome.
So the topic for today, thank you, sir. So the topic for today is well thought of, as even the Prime Minister, in his latest briefing to the nation, finally acknowledges that India's young scientists and researchers must come forward and take a lead to fight coronavirus. So what are your views on this, Dr. Rajan?
See, any importance or priority given to medical profession is always a very good thing. And any beginning made. See, when we started, Kamal Pal's father and me have actually studied together, and he was 1 year junior to me. We had very limited resources. And healthcare had never been a priority of this country.
Right.
It has been a gross neglect of investment in healthcare and GDP, in raising the GDP in healthcare, which my predecessors and me including have been raising with the government, that these are the issues which need to be handled. Health cannot be compromised with. And let me tell you, the legacy which we inherited from the British era gave us a very, very strong network of medical colleges. And then our post-independence, when we started working at CHCs, PHCs, and civil hospitals. But somehow, down the line, they started losing importance. And factors known to everybody. It was not the doctors who were deciding health and medical issues, but people who were not concerned at all were raising and planning about these issues. And which I'm happy. Research was not to be seen in India. COVID will be a game changer for our medical profession. Believe me, and let me tell you that. We are going to see massive investment in healthcare. We are already seeing. You just imagine by the end of April, if we end up having 50,000 ventilators and working on them in all the hospitals and all the other equipment, is investment. So research should continue, and we have excellent in the facilities. Thank you.
Right, sir. So, sir basically mentions that healthcare has long been a neglected topic and that COVID will be a game changer. Thank you, sir, for your words. Now I invite Dr. Navita Jain, working as an intern at a COVID-19 dedicated hospital, to talk about the situation of interns in the hospital. Over to you, Dr. Navita.
Hi, everyone. Well, the scenario from an intern's perspective varies depending upon the department he or she is posted at. The immediate response to the nationwide lockdown has definitely resulted in decreased patient numbers at our hospital, and even the conversion to our hospital to a COVID-19 dedicated one had led to reduced workload on interns as of now. While many of us are being posted for surveillance in the hotspot areas of Delhi and even in the casualties, I would like to ask Dr. Ranjan sir, how in your opinion can young doctors and medical students be more involved towards solving the COVID-19 crisis?
There is a very old saying, you don't demand respect, you gain it. And same is, you have to become relevant in today's scenario. Because COVID is here to stay. And from your saying that workload is, but believe me, programs are suffering because of COVID.
Right. Thank you, sir. You very well mentioned that we have to gain respect, not ask for it. So let's move back to the rest of our panel. I would like to invite Dr. Rohini to take the dais now.
Hi. Good evening, sir. I am an intern at CMC Ludhiana. There are some questions that I would like to ask you regarding the problems that we are facing as medical students in our country. The first being that seeing the ongoing scenario of violence against doctors that's already been happening, we've seen that it is now at a rise, even at the time of a pandemic, where doctors are at the front line risking their lives for the citizens. And this discourages a lot of medical students to pursue their residencies, to not pursue their residencies in India, in fact. But at the same time in India, we need doctors to remain here and serve the country. So how do you think we can sensitize these medical students to remain here as doctors and serve our country?
I think there's some connectivity issue.
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's continue the discussion amongst ourselves for that till then.
So what do you guys think, my fellow panelists? How can we convince the medical students watching our discussion, and in general, how can we convince them to stay here and serve India?
Okay, so basically it's not only about, sorry, do we have sir?
No, go ahead, Priyank.
Okay, so till the time sir comes, so basically the question which you have mentioned, that to have students coming up and serve India, is the current scenario is not only about India, it's about globally, right? So everyone is trying to like fight this particular disease and trying to do their best to ensure that safety is being handled, safety is being given to the doctors and the students as well, right? So to just escaping a problem is not a solution, to be honest about it. We really need to work on it together and solve together. And it's simply saying that just because there's a problem in India and thereby we leave the country and like serve the other country, that's not the way we should work, right? It's really important to understand that there are problems in every other country, and in fact that's all India has given to us, right? So it's really important to ensure that we solve this problem and serve our country, right?
I also think that a problem lies in misinformation globally. Like, you know, that there are people even in America protesting the lockdown because they are misinformed about why it's actually happening to them. So I think that we need to come up with a solution to break the chain of misinformation that is occurring right now, because as we all know, there is enough awareness about COVID. You call someone, you get a hello tune of just, COVID related information and how you can protect yourselves. But, the misinformation that's happening, I think we all need to come together and break that chain.
Exactly. I think sir is online right
And I
now.
think this,
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, we have sir with us. So, so there was a question posed by,
Yeah.
So I think we lost you.
So there was a question
Regarding that internship issue in Delhi, she was asking a question and I was replying.
Yeah, there was a question
Would I
posed by
get back
Dr.
to her?
Rohini. I think Rohini, you can repeat your question if you don't mind.
Should we let sir reply to Navita first? Because I think he lost the connection there.
Yes.
So, Dr. Navita can take the mic now.
yes, sir. So basically, we were asking that how we can be more involved in handling this crisis situation, being students and young medical doctors.
See, first of all, it is besides the COVID, take care of yourself. That is a personal advice. Don't compromise on your safety. But you have to be practical also. Okay? COVID has and will become a routine part of our life for the coming times. Regarding your workload, which you were saying, see, now COVID will also teach us patient management, which was so absent in India. Now you cannot have loads and loads of patient in the OPD that you cannot even find time for yourself. Social distancing, appointments, and to wait. That is going to be the new norm. of the coming times of medical practice. We have to think of so many things: our surgical protocol, our ward protocols, air conditioning in OTs, ICCUs. Everything needs a rethink because aerosol contamination through the AC transmission has to change. HEPA filters, then influenza-like screening wards, and closing a hospital is not an option. We have to disinfect, decontaminate, and start functioning the next day. If at all any patient of COVID-19 comes, and treat every patient to be positive until proven otherwise. No compromise on your safety.
Right.
Yes. Next, please.
Very well answered, I believe. Let's move now to Dr. Rohini with a question.
Sir, I have a question that if suppose a patient that was not expected to come positive happens to come positive and the doctors treating that patient before the test came positive were not, dressed in proper PPE, and though they have to undergo self-isolation for 14 days. But the problem that is happening is that there are not proper quarantine facilities being provided by the hospitals. So these doctors, they go back to their hostels and they are sharing the common washrooms, bathrooms, the common mess with everyone. And in case one of the doctors turns out to be positive, it will just lead to a whole chain of community spread, which we already see happening. So how do you think we can prevent this?
My moot answer is still the same. Take care of yourself first. In an OPD, now let's clear this myth about PPE first. Okay? Everybody is asking PPE. If I provide you the real PPE kit here, it takes 45 minutes to don it. And then you cannot go to the washroom, you cannot eat, you cannot drink. Rather than you are speaking also, it becomes foggy inside. Okay? And you sweat like anything. That is a true PPE kit. Henceforth, please try to differentiate hazmat suits from PPE kits. You are young doctors, vulnerable, aggressive, that has to be in you, but you need to understand. Also, when COVID struck, a lot of times I see resident doctors say PPE kits are not there, why the country is not doing. But you must understand, like the rest of the world, we were caught unawares. Nobody was prepared for COVID. And as I was discussing with the WMA president, he told me a very beautiful line. He said, Rajan, COVID has proven to the world, healthcare is not a cost-cutting procedure, but is an investment. He said, 80% of the disposables from all the countries were from China. When China collapsed, everybody collapsed. Their units were closed. Europe had units, but they were closed. And India, you can say, didn't have it at all. But realizing our difficulties and handicaps, I must commend the Prime Minister the way he has handled the situation. DRDO, Army, industry, the people who are manufacturing seats for Maruti and Mahindra have developed fabric for N95 masks, and for JCT Pagoda, Ludhiana, DRDO are preparing PPE kits now, 17 units in railways. You name anybody, they're into PPE kits. So that's the amount. Plus the so-called disposable kits, which we generally name that we have got the PPE kits, we have got the PPE kits. What is the difference? Hazmat suit have that white suit, or it has to be a bright color because you can see the stains. You have seen the blue tape on it?
Right, yes, sir. Yes.
What is that blue tape? That is to seal the seams of the PPE, that suit, hazmat suit. And that tape is special, which has to be put in a place like with a cloth welding by lasers. So that is where the PPE kits. Besides imports, by third week of April, we have still not reached the peak, my dear. We will be having 10 lakh PPE kits per week. That is the official Ministry of Health projection. But why it is not being said is suddenly we are thinking in terms, these are precious commodities. You just imagine, USA doesn't have it.
Right.
Today I was on a webinar. Italy is short of ventilators. So we are still in a position. Maruti is developing a ventilator. Mahindra is developing a ventilator. DRDO has developed a ventilator where you can have 5 patients on one ventilator.
Right.
So 50,000 ventilators come by April in-house, besides the imports. So there is nothing, and one thing you all must understand, to make yourself safe is common sense. It doesn't require a science. You all need gloves, gowns, disposable gowns, one surgical mask and a visor on your face. Nobody, I assure you, nothing is going to happen, because if you are wearing a visor, even if I spit on your mouth, if I am COVID positive, the virus cannot go inside. But these are the
Right.
things. Use sanitizer. Thank you.
Sir,
Right.
my
So I
next,
think the takeaway point, yeah, Rohini, please continue.
Please.
I was going to say, so I understand basically that you want the students to be problem solvers here.
Yes.
Right.
Youth always leads by example.
Yes, sir.
Like a resident in Rohtak, Professor Dhruv Chaudhary was sharing with me. She is into fashion designing and all. See, you have hidden talents. So she has mobilized the fashion industry to make masks. So see, everybody is, the best part is entire country is pitching in. If food is being provided by government, there are thousands and thousands of people coming from common homes, making food and getting on the streets to help the people. Police, you could never imagine police in such a role.
Yes, sir.
Total sea change. And for a change, who talk of human rights, our police force is being even praised by Italy. They say government of Indian police has taught that a little bit of caning is required. Maybe we are too over democratic and human rights to keep the people inside.
Right.
Yes. Next, please.
Perfect. So yeah, perfect. So I think today's takeaway points basically should be stay safe and lead by example. Also, sir has
PPE
essentially
kits.
busted the myths surrounding PPEs and protective gears for doctors. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Navita. Thank you, Dr. Rohini. Let me now invite our next panelist, Dr. Kanvakar Singh Saili, to further the discussion and put up his points on the topic. Over to you, Dr. Kanvakar.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, all my fellow panelists. Good evening, all of the audience. I would like to highlight few major concerns regarding interns at this point of discussion and at this point of time. Sir, as we all know, interns are facing a shortage of N95 masks and PPE kits, as we mentioned it before also. Interns are the strata in the interns are basically this the workforce which does all the running in the hospital. So interns, when they are short of the protective gear, they are at a high risk because they are the ones who take the sampling, they go to the radiology to take all the reports, go to pathology to
There's a
take.
connection error.
I think we lost Kanvapal.
So you can tell us if about the reusability of that is now been in discussion.
See, first of all, like I explained about the hazmat suits, N95 mask is not required for general things. That is required only and only for critical care assistance. You are all from a variety of the places across the country. Maybe Nathani from Cooper
Yes, sir.
would have a bigger patient load because Mumbai, Pune, Pimpri, Kamarpal is that. Pune, Pimpri, then Nasik and Sangli. These are the 4 hotspots in Maharashtra.
Yes,
But
sir.
out of 750, we are 300 plus districts which are totally disease free. Not even one cases have been reported in many districts. So now N95 mask is a precious commodity. It is not that you can use and throw. It is not a disposable mask, my dear. And there are WHO guidelines and AIMS guidelines how to reuse. Any institution with COVID facility issues 5 masks to every doctor on COVID duty. 1 mask used on day 1 is used on day 5 and the day 5 is used on day 10. And there are proper procedures. Now even UV light is a good enough material source. Keep it in the sun, keep it in envelope, brown envelope, mark it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is nothing wrong in reusing it. People in many developed countries are not getting these commodities. USA, the most advanced country and a dream destination for all of the young students, has given up. It is actually that they have said, we don't have PP kits, either to use them or wash them or wear trash bins also, trash bags also. But here, the PP kit hazmat suit developed by JCT can be washed and autoclaved 5 times. And it has understood, mind you, all things which are coming are being tested by DRDO and authentic labs. For PP kits, other than hazmat suits, there are 50 firms which have been approved by DRDO and Ministry of Health. Their names are available. And they are CITRA approved, South Indian Textile Research Association. Any fabric manufacturer, you demand for a PP kit, you demand for a CITRA certificate. That means you are assured of the quality. In bulk supplies, please insist on a replacement clause if the quality is not good. These are the things: 3-ply surgical mask and a visor. The routine visors are just 50 bucks. If you use the stud visor, which is around 180 bucks, now it is 200 bucks. So visor for surgery, for ICU duties, for anesthetists, for interns, it is such a cheap and best, I call it jugaad, for all of us, that it is for our safety. There we have to be safe. I would never want to see anybody of you getting infected. So you have to be safe. So these are the few measures. Always you can do follow these. Next, please.
Right. I think we have Dr. Kandapal back with us. We lost him in between. Could you please continue, Dr. Kandapal?
So, sir, my question in crux was, sir, safety of interns. Like, sir, as I was mentioning, that interns are a kind of backbone of the hospital who do most of the running. They go to the radiology,
Yeah.
they go to pathology. They have to, get every report. They have to go with the patient also everywhere when the patient is lost. So, sir, I had 2-3 questions in my mind regarding the present scenario. Sir, first was, sir, what is the strategy of IMA regarding hoarding and, sir, black marketing of the masks and PPE kits? Like, sir, for example, a 3M mask, N95 mask, which was 75 rupees plus taxes, is right now for 480 rupees. And to the shop, they are not supplying it to the doctors. Doctors are not getting 3M masks directly. Sir, I would like you to know that AMS is also doing micro donations of N95 masks. We have already covered 3 big tertiary hospitals of Punjab for micro donations regarding N95 masks for the interns. And sir, I also wanted to ask, sir, like the scenario of, sir, underreporting of the cases.
First of all is your this thing,
Price control, sir. Price control and
price control. When we started our campaign, I was the first one to bring it to the notice of the health minister. I said whatever is available is being hoarded, and it is a pity and highly condemnable that in this hour of crisis, there are people who are hoarding it. Now, just pointing it out on a webinar is not the answer. If you have details, share it with me. I brought it to the notice of the Home Minister also. They say wherever possible, they have issued necessary instructions. Officers are on the job. They are going to these people whenever they come to know and pose as ordinary customers. And they have booked. All the surgical associations, dealers associations have been issued an advisory and a warning by the government. But still, if it is available, it is, there are problems, you share with me. But another 1 week, the glut is going to be so much that they will be forced to sell the stock. That is the true picture. Now coming to your second question, that was
underreporting.
See, one thing which I don't know, Kamarpal, how do you, who has given you the source? Because wherever I am taking a feedback, what can be praised should be praised. The administration is really after our blood. I will not believe on this underreporting. And another part is, if you are right, my parameter of any epidemic of any problem is one basic thing. How many COVID centers, hospitals are there in the country? How many beds, how many are there? And how many ICCUs are there? With ventilator facilities, dedicated COVID facilities? We don't have enough patients. Today, for a country of 130 crores, we have a population of 779 dead. The lockdown has slowed the doubling curve. Underreporting is not the case. Ultimate reporting is death, and death cannot be hidden. Because there are set protocols, body bag, or the body to be preserved, and the government and the hospital has to dispose of the body. That cannot be hidden, my dear.
Okay, sir.
Next, please.
That's right. Okay, so sir basically says that there are not many symptoms available that can be detected. So underreporting is out of the question, definitely. And secondly, he also says that
underreporting is due to their fear. People are not coming out with the truth that if we say and we turn out to be COVID, something is going to happen. It is
the stigma related.
doctors. Wherever you are in your neighborhood, in your family, spread this message. Being COVID positive does not mean death. Mortality is 1%. Whenever you have a problem, please report to your nearest doctor.
Right. And also share the details of any misconduct or hoarding if you're seeing which he's there.
Yes,
Okay.
we owe it as
Right.
citizens of the country.
Of course, yes. So now moving on. Next, as a fellow intern, we have Dr. Rohini Datta again, who must share her concerns surrounding future residency preparations, electives, and opportunity lags in India and abroad surrounding the current COVID-19 crisis. Dr. Rohini Datta, please take the stage.
Sir, as we know that the COVID-19 pandemic has a lot of implications for everyone around the world, but for medical students in particular, we are facing a problem of delay in timelines. I know that sounds like a very minute problem as compared to the global pandemic that's going on, but it has indeed caused a lot of anxiety and stress for the medical student community because the NEET PG counseling is being delayed, the foreign medical exams are being delayed, and at the same time, we need doctors who are in this stage to come and start their practice as well. So how do you think we can cope with this uncertainty?
But can I make the mood lighter?
Yes, sir.
बच्ची जाएगी कहाँ और कैसे जाएगी, जहाज भी नहीं चल रहे यहाँ तो। अमेरिका को अपने बचने की मुसीबत पड़ी हुई है, उन्हें वहाँ ट्रेनिंग करने जाना है। मैं तो इसका जवाब यही झटका दे सकता हूँ। यहाँ मेरे सारे इंटरनेशनल ट्रिप कैंसिल हो गए और वहाँ जब जहाज ही नहीं जा रहा तो हमारे जो भी मुसीबत में बैठे हैं, हम फिर अपने घर में ठीक तो बैठे हैं, जरूर जाके वहां मरना है।
Right. So there
But
was,
we must keep on preparing. Knowledge is never bad. Second thing is, see, like you are talking of the NEET counseling which has been delayed. You just imagine the plight of the resident doctors in Delhi, that when they approached me that their exams were due, but have been cancelled because of COVID, and they were almost around 45,000 of them across the country, that they were on the verge of being evicted from their accommodation. So I immediately contacted the Ministry of Health and got them a reprieve that they have been given 3 months extension till the time exams can be held. And also, they can maintain their accommodation and their stipends will continue. So that is a very nice thing, but the fact remains that cycle has to continue. As I said, we will and we should immediately start coming back to normal with COVID, factoring in COVID.
sir, another speculation that has been going around is that there are many final year students in India in various states who are being trained to take care of COVID patients. But at the same time, like in other countries, a lot of them have been promoted to being doctors without any final exam. But do you think, seeing the shortage of doctors in our country, that would be a wise decision for India to make as well?
I do not support any of such thing. I have opposed it tooth and nail. And secondly, we are not short of doctors. What we are requiring is manpower. That is why the final year students are being trained. But yes, you have to learn it. Maybe I won't have the opportunity, but you will be. Who knows? You become a COVID expert. Critical care ICU, anesthetists, from mechanical ventilation. Now suddenly the focus is on oxygen therapy. There are new breakthroughs being made. So I don't think, and I don't approve of it. There was a demand that all the foreign graduates who could not clear the exams, and as were being promoted, the cause was being promoted by a few private players and self-interest. I put my foot down. I got a DMB first year result declared. I helped the Junior Doctors Association. But people who don't clear exams, there was also a demand that for PG students who have not appeared, you can give a degree. You cannot stand the test of legislation. The legal problems associated with it is, tomorrow, okay, fine, you are adjusted. I challenge you in the court of law that she has not even given her MBBS degree, final year. So how is she an obstetrician or an anesthetist? Your entire career will be a jeopardy. Don't entertain such thoughts. Let's be very clear. Rise as one voice. That exams are an integral part. We would be fooling ourselves and the entire future generation. They will think, "Koi cheez aayi, chalo exam to dena hi na padega." This is not the way education will happen.
Right.
In fact, in Mumbai as well, specifically, I being a fourth medical student, we were called as well for the training session. So we were like, yeah, it's fine. Like, let's be trained and know about stuff. But like, we weren't sure if it's the right thing to also join the workforce or not, because of the fact that we did not have the amount of knowledge, practical knowledge, which is supposed to be given to us in the fourth year. So we weren't sure. Even our parents, like any parent actually, like was saying that my child or like my child is not even yet trained in the fourth year. So how is it possible that the training is really useful for us? Like, why is the person even going for training? So I don't get the point. Is the training even worth it if we are not even eligible enough to join the workforce?
Pre-COVID party करता था?
हाँ sir.
Did you party? सब माँ बाप को बताया? वो भी डिस्कस कर लिया है?
Viewpoint
अरे
is
you are thrown into it, brother. बेटा, when I completed my MBBS, I had never done onco surgery, and I didn't know. So, I don't know what is the situation now, but that time you had to learn yourself. Nobody used to teach you. That attitude, glass ceiling was there. So I joined Oswal Hospital in Ludhiana. Kamarpal must be knowing, and girl from CMC. That was the only place doing onco surgery. The first day I went, what is your exposure of onco surgery? I said, sir, I don't know. Okay, read it up and come tomorrow. The entire night I was reading, morning also I revised. The moment I entered the OT, you are the chief surgeon, please start. And if you have any problem, we will join. And me and my senior colleague once hugged. And he was also like, I am the docile partner, you operate. I ligated femoral artery 6 times before I actually reached the femoral artery. But then after that surgery, the fear of blood went away. And I could do any surgery. Surgeon getting over the fear of blood is very important. Like you are Nathani, you are saying, we don't know practical knowledge. You are not supposed to handle the entire patient there. You are supposed to be the workforce. And at the end of the day, this is not Greek or Roman. 4 patient देखेगा या फिर उसको समझ आ जाएगी. फार्माकोलॉजी कौन सा 12th में करके आया थे? So you don't imagine the immense talent and stamina you guys have. The youth is doing fantastically well, and you can all lead from the front. See, that feeling of fear has to be totally dispelled. And okay, fine, seniors, yes, 65 plus we should avoid. But the entire, see, let's not run away from social and national responsibility. सीख तू सीखेगा नहीं. अब you are there, can you let a patient die? No.
not at all.
You will call your senior. So senior will say what? I tried to teach you, you didn't come. So you should consider yourself lucky that you are getting taught. And as and when, see, a scenario, if at all it comes, God has been kind that we have been able to beat the curve and it has come late to us. Just imagine like China and USA if it had come then. But even then, considering the world over, our fatalities would not have been much in number, keeping in mind our population. That is not any loss is a loss, but in practical terms, no.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, this was the current scenario there among our medical students. So I think we could take a message or two from this particular statement which you made.
अरे vaccination की wait मत करना please.
Okay, sir.
हाँ जी, next.
Yeah,
So we have a very young population, so there is not really a lot to be about. That should be the message to the young people, I think.
But take care, I again stress, please follow simple precaution and take care of yourself.
Thank you,
Hello?
Dr. Rohini. Thank you, Priyansh. Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Right. Hello.
Is it over?
No.
Right.
No, sir.
Yeah. All right.
No,
So may I now invite?
I think Ronak is having a problem,
Okay.
so
So
I'll just take over.
yeah, sure. Kushman.
move on.
Hi everyone, good evening sir. I am Kushman, third year medical student at SGRD Amritsar. The COVID-19 pandemic has had massive overarching ramifications for our global population. This is an unprecedented time for our healthcare system, and as medical trainees ourselves, we can and have been contributing to the response in critical non-clinical capacities. We have been regularly advocating for policies to protect healthcare workers and communities. School closure and suspension of clinical duties have brought us studies from bench to bedside, initially an uncertainty about our way forward. But here, I would like to thank all our professors who, while working on the front line in the pandemic, have ensured that none of us loses sight of our ultimate mission. As WHO states, attainment by all peoples of the highest possible standard of health. Students from medical schools across the country have been organizing themselves to aid in roles ranging from staffing phone hotlines for virtual triage to organizing online campaigns and competitions as an effort to lift each other up in these trying times by spreading positivity and taking care of mental health of our families, friends, and most importantly, our seniors working at the hospitals by regular healthy texts and phone calls. As medical students, we especially feel a need to deepen our knowledge of the situation as we are often viewed as resources by our friends and family. However, it does become challenging at times to process the wealth of information coming our way. So here, I would like to take this opportunity to ask Dr. Rajan Sharma, sir, what we as medical students should learn from and during this pandemic to be better equipped and better prepped to handle any such pandemics in the future as future healthcare workers.
Never ever lose your common sense and panic. See, the day we enter the medical profession, for our neighborhood and for our family, we become doctors. Oh, ji, bachcha doctor ban raha hai. We don't even know how to give an injection. Practically till 4th year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
all it takes is just a shot into the take care of. You can give an intramuscular, no problem. But by the time you don't gain the confidence, you think every intramuscular in the buttocks will damage the femoral nerve. Everything in the humerus is going to deltoid is going to damage the nerve. So I personally feel this learning curve you have to achieve yourself. Nobody spoon feeds. Nobody spoon feeds. And the scenario is still the same. You have been thrown into a pond of water. Luckily, it doesn't have waves, but you will have to swim. And see, and as I say, you might become a COVID practitioner alone, like spine surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, hip replacement surgeons. Anybody with critical COVID, she's the intensivist who's managing this thing. But what is inspiring? You see the people who are involved in COVID care. When the 15 Italian patients were detected in Jaipur and they infected many, that lady doctor in Vedanta, she self-isolated her. Her family were staying in totally separate accommodation. She used to wash her own clothes, make her own food, and her husband was there in a different house. This microbiologist from virologist from Lucknow, he left his family and came to the hospital guest house. This doctor in Bhopal in COVID duty. He is in COVID duty, active duty. He comes, sits outside his house. The family is inside the gate. He sees them all. A cup of tea is kept outside for him. He has a cup of tea, sees his family, talks from a distance, maintaining social distance, and goes back. So these are role models. Dr. Trapti and Dr. Zakia, who bore the brunt of Indore violence, first violence. Must compliment them. The next day when I called them up, I said, the night before I was on a TV discussion with Trapti. And next day when I called her up, I said, Trapti, where are you? She said, sir, I am on survey. I said, we are really proud of you, better take care. She said, no, sir, wherever, yesterday they were hostile, today they have welcomed us. And police is also with us. So such people with grit and resilience are our role models and we should take inspiration. There is nothing to fear. I cannot say this, but सावधानी हटी दुर्घटना घटी. ये ड्राइविंग के लिए भी है, और ये कोविड में संभालने के लिए दिए। अब ये सोच लो, आपने दुर्घटना में जाना है या सावधानी बरतनी है। That's it. Don't be brave or foolish to come into and take कि मैं इसके बगैर मुझे कुछ नहीं होगा. You should be taking care of it.
So medical students can look forward to becoming COVID specialists. Thank you.
Yes.
A new avenue.
अमेरिका तो जा नहीं रहे हो. अब तो इंडिया ही है. और यार इंफॉर्मेशन कितने अमेरिकन भी यहाँ से वापस जा रहे हैं.
Right,
sir.
ठीक है जी.
Kushman, over to you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my
Yes,
second
Kushman.
question that I would like to know more about from you is that as a medical student, how do you think we can utilize this opportunity to conduct COVID-related researches and other researches in general, since research is something medical students really look forward to and need guidance upon?
At the moment, if you are at home, the research is reading everything about COVID. And once you get back to your clinical work, you are ready with a set of ideas that this can be applied and these are the things I would like to do. Like, to start with, how to run a routine OPD, it is a research with challenges. Is it not? Like
Yes.
anesthetists were exposed to so much of viral load while intubating. So they came out with this fiber hood that they could use while intubating and they could save themselves. And they started wearing visors. I saw this motorcycle wearing visor, and when the country was panicking about masks, I started promoting it. So many people said, I said, this is the best Indian jugaad. Or some people even use A4 transparency sheets. So all these things, unity in diversity and in crisis, we are the best crisis managers, believe me. हमारे को कोई रोक नहीं सकता, हमारे से हमारा जुगाड़ कभी फेल हो ही नहीं सकता.
Yes.
Right, sir. So absolutely, sir, in these trying times when we've seen a landslide shift in common people's perception towards the importance of research and development, when vaccine is unequivocally the most prudent answer, while you say that we shouldn't wait for the vaccine, but yes, we should look forward to it. Great. So moving ahead with the next segment
why
of
I
discussion
say
here.
vaccine is going to be for us, because
Right.
till date H1N1 vaccine is $1,200.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it done.
Costly. It's very costly. Yes.
Same, we don't know the cost. It is not going to be free of cost like pulse polio. And how do you see our population is a solution also, and our population is a humongous size. How are you going to vaccinate 130 crore people? By the time you vaccinate everybody, you will be 150. And same is true for testing. World over kits cannot compensate the testing. Even if you do 1 lakh tests per day, it will take 37 years with the current population to do testing.
Right.
So once it is clear to you, you will make it clear to everybody. They will have to depend on the medical practitioner, that is you, for you to analyze his symptoms or her symptoms and suggest protocols accordingly.
Right. So then how do you take the WHO Director General's statement of test the mantra that he gave?
He must have never visited India. तुम मुझे बताओ बेटा, कहाँ से टेस्ट करोगे इतने? It is okay. Everybody is touting the Korea model. I have been to Korea on a fellowship for 6 months. It is the country size of a rice grain. तो पॉपुलेशन इतनी लिमिटेड है. अब इटली है, इटली में तो हमारे पंजाब ही खप जाएगा पूरा. So you cannot see these economies and all. Why? Second, this is not scientific, but every year our immunity is very good. You must see, swine flu came, we adjusted to swine flu. So now we have 2 flu seasons in a year. Dengue when it came, it was such a horrendous disease. Dengue, we are losing to death, blood transfusions. Now protocols have totally changed. We have innovated. Now nobody likes to give blood transfusion, only whole plasma. That also counts up. 10,000 are also people are rested and given adequate hydration. So as population of the country, which is eating street food and is exposed to 2 viral flus in a season and 2 malaria seasons, will have a relatively better immunity as compared to the Western countries, where they're freaky about sanitation and these irradiated foods. And what is this? Like BT cotton, the seeds and vegetables, they are all that generated ones. That is why
Genetically modified.
Sir, what are
genetically
your
modified.
views on pool testing? What about sir pool testing? We could use it as an alternative for COVID.
That will also, we are already using it. Today only I was discussing with one of the COVID centers, my friend, he's a pulmonologist, critical care specialist. He said, my problem is my staff, which is trained, they are getting 1,200 tests per day. How many can we do in one day? So they have resorted, UP has started it. Now Haryana has also started doing it, pool testing. But again, we have to be very clear. You know which was the biggest flu? Which was the biggest epidemic?
Spanish flu.
Spanish flu.
Spanish flu. 1988.
1912, 1920.
1918.
1980.
Yeah, homework करके आए, तुम करके नहीं आए. So we lost one third of the population of the world. Okay. Now, what was the 3 golden rules which were decided relevant then? Isolation, respiratory etiquettes, and personal hygiene. That flu was forgotten because of another flu in USA. And after that, we have had many epidemics. But still, the thumb rule remains isolation, respiratory etiquettes, and personal hygiene. You have to propagate. Whenever you go out, you will have to wear masks. That is the ground reality. Carry a hand sanitizer, don't touch anything. That is the ground reality. Our country will undergo drastic change. Forget the huge gatherings, 1,500 people for a marriage. That is going to undergo a sea change. And also, as doctors, you must learn. A child first crawls, then starts taking steps, then starts taking a confident walk, and then runs. Same is going to be the post-COVID scenario for the entire population. Everything government cannot do, doctors cannot do. People have to realize the responsibility they want to do.
Right. All right, sir. So moving ahead with the next segment of discussion, it is true that youth-led organizations are increasingly present in global health spaces, and they are advocating for more meaningful engagement of young people in global agendas, not waiting until tomorrow or their turn, but truly leading now and catalyzing change in their community. With this brings me to our next panelist, Priyansh Nathani, to let us know more about the youth-led organizations that are involved and have been helping in the current COVID-19 pandemic. Over to you, Priyansh.
Thank you so much, Ronak, for bringing that point up. Agreeing with Ronak's views, youth-led organizations really are emerging lately. And with plethora of ideas coming up and innovative ideas of executing them, the organization's grand way forward is indeed the web coalition of various ideas by medical students strategizing together nationally. I believe that many of us are following the stay home, stay safe rule and are really helping to cut the transmission and is itself a huge contribution. I believe everyone is contributing to the society in one way or the other, from donating something to distributing PPEs to police guards to sending a message to the seniors working as frontline workers to ask about how they are doing. because we all are in this fight together. We as an organization believe in holistic approach and development, and few efforts that we have been making in this current scenario and our future plans are like we have been making micro donations, as Kanmapal mentioned as well, in terms of PPE kits, N95 masks to various NGOs, thereby identifying the vulnerable hospitals in various parts of India. We also are conducting video competitions with the famous organization, the Global Education and Leadership Foundation, and asking participants to share videos on how they are spending time in quarantine. Something like these. Basically, it's an effort to spread positivity, to support mental health across the nation. And I think that's what is really required lately, something which many are doing, regardless of being an organization or not, but as an individual, thinking about another individual. And to continue the continuation of the activities, we are also working with a sustainable model to ensure that there is no backlog after the lockdown is over, to help medical students utilize their time and creative minds in the most effective manner. Then we are also looking forward to have more social media campaigns to motivate and educate medical students, as well as the citizens, such as Mythbuster Bingos. Bingo is something which is pretty much famous lately on Instagram, and Make a Mask Challenge, etc. We are also looking forward to work with like-minded organizations to conduct online mental health workshops free of cost for medical students, and as well as training them to help out the citizens, to help them cope up with stresses of quarantine and lives beyond. We are also aware that IMA has their helpline numbers, and we were really, really inspired by that idea. And we are also working on the concept of telemedicine for the general public with support from our partners to help people get free consult for their health concerns, and also arrange for help if we find any terminally ill patient if found. And besides that, we are also looking forward to work with our international parent organization in Global Health Initiative by regularly creating updated, verified COVID-19 news because of the prevalent fake news and fake WhatsApp forwards and other guidelines on a separate COVID-19 domain. And talking about this, all these initiatives is not the end actually. The lockdown is not the end. In fact, we are quite aware that the government may, and correct me if I'm wrong, the government may quite shift its focus from healthcare after the lockdown is over, which will make us vulnerable again to the unfortunate future pandemic. So I think it's just not ending with the lockdown. We need to again continue the fight, and we need to pressurize the government as well to ensure that, as sir mentioned, that the GDP is very low in India, focusing on healthcare, and we are looking forward to the increase in healthcare, the fundings. But the thing is, we need to have a pressurized thing as well and create that pressure as young students, and also with the guidance of our senior doctors. And here I would like to request Dr. Rajan Sharma sir to guide us on what more can we do as organizations, as viewers, as individuals, and various youth and parent organizations together, having the common goal to help our society in general and the nation as a whole.
यार बड़ा लंबा सवाल है. तो थीसिस लिखनी पूरी, अब रिटर्न है थीसिस. ये सवाल था या स्पीच थी? तो मेरे से इंस्पायर हो गया कि सर लंबा लंबा बोली जा रहा है, मैं भी लंबा ही बोलूं. हैं?
Clearly, we are over excited to meet you.
Yes, sir.
क्या क्या मैं भूल ही गया था यार, 2 लाइनें बताना. मैं तो सोचा नहीं था एंड में कहेगा आई वुड लाइक टू हैव योर व्यूज. मैं तो अपना नाम बता रहा है तो सुन लेते हैं. मैं ठीक है, हाँ बोल. 2 लाइनों से आगे ना जाना, बता क्या. तभी इंडिया कंफ्यूज हो रहा है.
So basically, the important point is that everyone is trying to help in their own way possible, staying at their homes. Yes. Yeah, but the important point over here is how can you guide us, and what are your views or what are your ideas? How can we be involved as youth? As you already mentioned, that youth are really helping out. So, is any specific way where we can contribute, and consider the fact that we are looking forward to be as COVID-19 trainers, as you mentioned, and that's something which really people can take home, the advice. But more than that, like, what else can we do? That's the question.
Just once. But first of all, 1 or 2 questions which you first is how is youth to be involved. First of all, in these times of isolation, if you are working, good. Consider any health professional. Sitting at home and not doing anything is very frustrating. a consultant or a doctor is most happy when he is among his patients. We might condemn so many things on our plight that this is not right, this is not right. But at the end of the day, you must have seen your senior doctors, the amount of respect the people give. डॉक्टर के आगे साहब हमारे पास ही लगता है, वो मन से, यही जगह जबरदस्ती लगाना पड़ता। डॉक्टर के आगे साहब सिर्फ that is done out of respect, and the youth which are quarantined under home arrest, work on positive things, channelize your energy, make a to-do list once the lockdown is over. Because I personally feel we have already started functioning, and healthcare will be the first one to break this lockdown, because industry, production, raw material movement will take a lot of time. But patients, non-COVID patients, as one of the panelists was saying, they are having their problems. Also, you can do a very good, like we have started after the initial IMA helpline, and then we started a psychological helpline for medical professionals and nurses and healthcare professionals. That's also functioning with a panel of psychiatrists and psychologists. Similarly, we have our Students Swing Right Association, and MSN, you might be aware.
Yes.
They are organizing seminars, webinars like you are doing, and helpline numbers they have created. And they are doing also interacting with their, we are in more than now 250 colleges. So they are also doing, and rather I feel that both of you should also interact with each other. Because one thing is channeling and synergy will add more.
Yes.
Rather than division. Is it right?
Yes.
Good ideas are always welcome. If we are in a problem, you have the right to say your problem, that I have a solution. Ultimately, at the end of the discussion is which is the best solution, and everybody who are practically thinking of a positive thing will agree to that practical solution. Okay. Now, second, online classes is not going to be the answer. It is a move to keep you busy at home, but ultimately, whenever this NMC Act came, our biggest objection was it was doing away with clinical examination, and that is the moot point, which I have been professing again and again. Like I said, anybody who decides to become a doctor, the moment he or she enters the 8th class, the parents decide he is to be socially boycotted. He is left to the academies, he is left to the teaching, and by 10th, he is in a dummy school and to all these tutorial classes. Out of such a huge talent which is appearing for NEET, they all pass out. And every year we give our exams. First prof, second prof, final prof. Then again an exit test. Then again the entrance test. So that was my biggest objection when the last year in the parliament. He said, how many tests do you want us to give? And you are so overloaded. But if I see your syllabus, my daughter is in 2nd year. When I see her books, like for Inderveer Singh, suddenly the book has gone this thick. And the same is read by PGs also. And the same is read by the first year students. Why so? And if you go to your 12th books, I'm not talking about the NCERT books, but all these guides and all, they have made you a full-fledged doctor then also. That is the workload you are being exposed to. If you are exposed to such workload in MBBS, what are you going to do in MD/MS? So, a practical suggestion is also how to decrease your workload and your stress of studies. We all need to excel. We all want to excel, but also there is a life to be lived. Life, you become a doctor, you have to enjoy your life. But this is the time nobody will realize our importance, because when we are sleeping on a stretcher, I don't know, now the things must be better. So our biggest prize set was a clean sheet given by our ward sister in the night to wake up, woken up for any emergencies. But now, of course, duty rooms must be better, case are better. But that classes with social distancing have to be begun, and you should be the first ones to propagate for it and ask for it. Once the lockdown is over and things are okay, because now restricted activity will be in the red spot areas. Like Dr. Nathani will be in the red spot area.
Yes.
So he'll be working hard. But rest of them, some took place in Punjab, but Haryana, yes. Delhi again, they have been able to isolate and identify the hotspots. But wherever a case would be reported, then again, for 14-day quarantine, they have to be there. Our recommendation has been that all the green districts should be first allowed inter-district movement and limited opening of shops, which they have done for today.
Right. So, synergy of youth organizations is the need of the hour. Having said that, we should now move to the final and the most anticipated section of the discussion, that is the audience round. A lot of them, sir, have already been answered by you, but let me pick up 2 questions from the audience and pose them to you. So the first question being, when will our colleges reopen, or is this the new normal? This is a question on YouTube, sir. Is this the new normal they are?
If you ask me, as soon as these lockdown restrictions go, you should open up.
Right.
There is no use. How can the medical students be away from your studies and other things? Because ultimately we need you. You need to pass out. That cycle has to continue now. So lockdown finishes, you have to understand your social responsibility, social distancing, masks, personal hygiene, hand sanitation. That should be a part of your life. And when dealing with patients, mask down and other things.
Right. Thank you, sir. So the next question is from my hometown, Bhopal. They're saying that the MP government is contemplating on plasma therapy. What should we know about it?
It's shown promise. 2 patients in Delhi have been done and they have started improving. It's been done in Kerala also.
Okay.
And the best part is people are coming forward to donate for plasma. If it helps,
Right.
it is pertinent to mention here, there were a lot of hopes from HCQS and a treatment which was very well circulated on the WhatsApp, that azithromycin and HCQS taken in combination is an ultimate treatment for COVID-19. But let me tell you, HCQS has to be taken for older patients who have to have a ECG or a baseline ECG. Because if you see rheumatoid arthritis, DLE, SLE, and in malaria, we have been using. Initially, in the British times, this was given to the soldiers because mosquitoes were so much. And if I am not wrong, even today, a loading dose of chloroquine is taken by the army jawans. So, but in combination with azithromycin, it is wrong. Especially amongst the youth and young doctors, please do not neglect your symptoms. Don't try to become experimental, and please take an opinion before taking up any therapy, any treatment.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Let's take one last question from the panel. Then it will be over to Priyansh. Yeah, we have Dr. Rohini Datta.
Sir, I would like to highlight that there is already a lot of awareness regarding coronavirus and how we should protect ourselves amongst everyone in the country. But there is a lot of misinformation that has been going around. So how do we tackle to break the misinformation chain that's happening at the moment?
Be the mythbusters. Be the mythbusters. Like I do. Whenever I see something Now there was a message that doctor in Pune dies to COVID. So immediately it started coming on our groups. I immediately contacted my Pune IMA president. I said, what is this? He said, sir, she's not even a doctor and she died of something else. And her husband is a homeopath, but she didn't have these problems. So these myths, when you come to know, these need to be, we owe it as citizens of the country. Like there was this video, but yes, when videos are verified, I also make it a point to bring it to the notice of the concerned authorities.
Right.
Like lot of healthcare professionals are facing problem from commuting between Noida and Delhi. So yesterday only I wrote to the concerned authorities and today it has been addressed. And you all must know our demand for a healthcare violence bill, which was pending for so long, though only through epidemic. Epidemic is at least going to continue for 1 year. But today, you will all agree that the entire majority of the population of the country, the police, the media, and for a change politicians are all recognizing our need and are recognizing our efforts. Never ever before they have realized the problems of doctors. They were all under this impression, doctor ka kya hai, to paise kamata hai, as if earning money is wrong. But just imagine the scenario, the private sector takes care of 80% of the healthcare needs of the country. Imagine a scenario when if you take out this 80%, we have done well and performed well there, where the government's focus was not there. I would be happy. First, issue of violence which will be taken up by us is being taken up aggressively by us, and IMA district level committees have been formed by the DCs and SPs, and nodal officers have been appointed for safety of doctors. And in that, as medical students, when you are protected, including the ASHA workers. So, rest of the things, yes, we also know that there are difficult times, and difficult times need to be tackled differently.
Right. All right. So finally, sir, now that we're speaking, now that we're speaking of the ordinance, I'd like to give it over to Priyansh.
Yeah. So thank you so much, sir. I guess we had a really great productive discussion on this panel, and like just for the benefit of the audience, can we just we know that we had an IMA press release yesterday itself on 24th regarding the ordinance law. So just for the benefit of the audience who is watching this particular panel discussion right now, that are you content with the new law and would like to know your opinion on the future fate of doctors facing violence?
See, as a leader, one should be never content. You should demand more for your profession. When a leader becomes contented, that means you are going in a limbo and your organization will suffer. There are goals to be met. Yes, today, one thing as young people you must understand. There are a lot of ifs and buts raised when anything is done. But the issue was being dealt with by us since past many years. But that time we were never ready. One of your young friends, when he was injured in Calcutta, I had the opportunity to go there, and I visited that boy in the hospital. And when I went to the Neelratan Sarkar Medical College, I could see the students agitated, and it was not a leader's movement, not a motivated movement. It was genuine. They were asking, "Sir, what should we do? We don't know what to do." I said, "No, it is you have to decide. We have come here to express our solidarity with you. But as elders, if you need our guidance, we will definitely do. But first come up with your solution." But then incidents started happening. We were never given that sympathetic. And it was a horrible experience, believe me. Though I have never been exposed to violence. but I could feel the pain of each and every member or any child who has been suffering. That this is an issue which is deeply concerning us and rather demoralizing us. A feeling of dejection, or yaar kya karna, kisi ne kuch nahi kara. That is why when IMA takes its origin, must tell you this. IMA takes its origin from the independence movement. If ever you visit Delhi, it is only the building for doctors where two presidents have their foundation stones. And Dr. B.C. Roy, the first Chief Minister of West Bengal, was one of its founders. And we have a long history, Dr. Ansari and Dr. Nath, pre-independence history. And in 1951, after gaining independence, we have a dissociation agreement with the British Medical Association, because we applied that now India is, initially we were part of British Medical Association. We became in 1951. Now, IMA had its roles. It can never ever shy away from the fact it is a national body of Pan India. I say I represent each and every doctor, not only IMA members. It is perhaps one of the few organizations with its 1,745 branches and 3.5 lakh members. It is cutting across, it is spreading Pan India. And we have, in whatever way, tried to do whatever we could do. When this crisis came, we immediately expressed solidarity with the government of the day, which is our duty as a national, Indian national, that we cannot leave our people in distress. But when the Prime Minister on 22nd March, I would not go into the pre-COVID era, where we were criticized as profiteers and what all, that suddenly Prime Minister led the entire country in calling us the frontline warriors. And we all felt elated. Finally, everybody clapped for us. And as you might have been happy, even I was happy. I was nostalgic. I had never seen this such a moment in all my 51 years of life, because I am a second generation doctor, and IMA has been always there in the family. This is a family ritual. Kamarpal knows it. So when my neighbors started clapping, thank you, Dr. Sahab, I virtually had tears in my eyes. Yeah, ye to kamal ho gaya. So we were misunderstanding this. But when the events unfolded and the violence started happening in Telangana, the residents were targeted. Because of late, for long, we had been demanding hospitals to be declared safe. The practical problem coming our way was, then other people will demand who are into public dealing. So what to do? Now when we started doing this, Telangana happened. Then two young lady doctors in Safdarjung were attacked. Then this Ghaziabad, then Moradabad, then a doctor's arm was broken in Meerut. And in Mewat also, on survey, doctors and people were misbehaved with. Rajasthan. So all these across, a feeling was, why are people not understanding? And we were, actually I will tell you, share my emotions, I was very angry. But I must tell you that I just had one word to say, and off the record I say, कि मुसीबत में तो गधे को भी बाप बना लेते, इस मुसीबत से तो बचाने वाले सिर्फ हम, या तो कोई अल्टरनेटिव हो ना, तो we can understand कि हम नहीं तो कोई और है, and we are ready to put our head in here. Why are you attacking us? But then when dignity and honor in death also was being compromised. Dr. Reddy from Nellore was not allowed a decent cremation. Dr. Silo, he was one of the first few doctors of Northeast in Shillong, was revered like anything like a demigod. He didn't have a peaceful cremation, his ambulance was attacked. Then Dr. Simon in Chennai, that was something which totally, I don't have words to express. And that is why the call for 22nd White Alert and 23rd as Black Day. Mind you, we still maintain our utmost responsibility and moral responsibility and dignity in not announcing a strike, because in moment of crisis, the family comes together to fight a common enemy. We are part of the extended family. Government is doing its job, we have to do our job. And the enemy is COVID. So we announced this, lighting of a candle and wearing a white coat. But it caught the imagination of the nation and the world. There were doctors in Pakistan who went on a strike. We were in total stark contrast alert. And we just said, let our white not become yellow, green, and red, making it very clear this is not our intention. And it caught the entire social media everywhere, fancy of the nation. For the first time, you must have seen IMA was all over the electronic, social media, and print media. And we could put our points across. And media, which was not in favor, fully supporting us. All the major channels. Electronic, print media, social media. And the people. And the police, whom we were always at crossroads, they also came along. So this was a historic moment. The objective was to make people aware and to draw the attention of the government responded within a few hours. I got a call on 22nd evening from the Health Minister, and I got a message from Honorable Prime Minister. And mind you, it is pertinent to tell you, I have had the privilege, because of all my IMA colleagues, doctors, and young students, to have engaged the Prime Minister for 15 minutes, Health Minister for 1.5 hours, and the Home Minister for 40 minutes. Where all the issues of our community, our profession, and our doctors were discussed readily. And the message from the Prime Minister was, we just cannot imagine that even one doctor who lights a candle, we understand your plight. This is a national crisis. And we are understanding this thing, and you just have faith in us. We will do everything possible. And this is again in a short while, within 5 hours, that the ordinance was brought in. Now, your next question is, sir, what is this? This is an epidemic act. Epidemic Act was only act which is being implemented at the moment, which had been imposed by the government. And it's a very easy, so they brought in an Epidemic Act 2020 amendment, in which we have acts passed in 23 states and 2 union territories, but they were not having the compensation clause and not one conviction till date, which we pointed out to the ministries. We have been holding discussions. This is not right. This is not right. NSA is not the solution. And now the onus on attacking anybody is on the attacker, not on the doctor to prove. Some might say this is a betrayal, but I say this is the first step. Our goal and ultimate action will be for a central act against violence, and also to give teeth to the state acts. I was the first president of Northern India, IMA Haryana. First state to pass this act was in Andhra Pradesh. Second state was Haryana. And we found it in the best of intentions, but yes, we are doctors, we are not lawyers or lawmakers. And we saw that this act was being challenged in courts with impunity. We realized that there were no changes in IPC, RBC. And this act of ordinance which has come needs to be ratified in both houses of the parliament to become an act. It is the ordinance. So we are already in touch with the government, and I am quite sure, I cannot predict the future, and I might err also in my judgment, but my intentions are very noble for the entire profession and my profession. No compromise on my behalf for safety of my colleagues in violence. We have been raising this issue again and again. We were demanding government's attention. We got government's attention and within 5 hours we had an ordinance. This has been the shortest possible. Critics, it's in a democracy, have the right to criticize any decision. We respect their decisions. We respect their views. Whenever next possible, we will like to take their views. But this is something positive. COVID is not going to go on 3rd of May. Till the time that comes for Parliament, we will definitely be doing it. And again, we should be. One thing you all must understand. We should not show ourselves to be greedy. If the government is in a crisis and needs us, तो मैं ये भी करा लूं, मैं वो भी करा लूं, मैं ये भी करा लूं. That is against the basic ethos of a medical profession. At the end of the day, we are hardworking. Maybe our efforts might not be recognized and appreciated by people, a few set of people. But yes, definitely, we owe it to our country. We owe it to our great profession. Nobody has the power to cure or save a human being. Another issue which is concerning a lot of friends is the insurance cover. Believe me, I am all for a universal healthcare for all medical professionals. Because you cannot calculate the life of a healthcare doctor, a nurse, or professional, especially a doctor and nurse, by the life you have saved. If you save 10 lives, can anybody calculate or value? No. Also, you have to realize for a 50 lakh, will anybody of us like to die? No. Never. Even 5 crores is the amount which is less. So, as I've been stressing, you are youngsters again and again that personal safety should be of prime importance. And don't be rash in your decision. I'm not saying it to you, but I'm sounding out. The outbreak in Rajpura by a hookah party. So many people got infected. So I would call it an irresponsible act. If it has happened, accept it and follow precautions. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So signing off, finally, we are deeply indebted to you, sir, for your guidance and for your words.
Corona namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, to be
Thank you, sir.
So, shout out to the wonderful audience. But this brings us to an end of today's very fruitful discussion. I won't deny that there aren't any more questions or curiosity on this topic, but time is a very valuable resource, and we are thankful to sir for devoting this time to us. Finally, the audience can also email their views and questions to us at membership@amsterindia.in. Thank you everybody for being here. Stay healthy, stay safe. Goodbye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
End meeting.